In a dusty plains town, 16-year-old Lila wandered past endless fields. Her boots crunched on gravel, eyes wide with dreams. One evening, under a pink-streaked sky, she saw him, a giant cowboy, towering like a mountain. His hat shaded half the horizon, his voice a low rumble. "What's a kid like you doing out here?" he asked, his grin warm but distant. Lila's heart raced. She'd never seen such a man. Lila stammered, "I'm exploring." The cowboy chuckled, his laugh shaking the ground. "This ain't no place for young'uns," he said, pointing to the vast desert. His spurs glinted like stars. Lila, bold and starry-eyed, said, "I ain't scared." But he knelt, his face kind yet firm. "Come back when you're older. Little one, world's bigger than you know." Her cheeks burned with defiance and awe. That night, Lila lay in her small bed, the cowboy's words echoing. His image leather vest, weathered hands stayed sharp in her mind. She wasn't just a kid, she'd prove it. She sketched his face in her journal, vowing to return. The plains felt alive with his presence, like he was part of the earth itself. Sleep came slow, her heart tangled in dreams of adventure and that towering figure. Years passed like tumbleweeds. Lila grew 17, 18, 20. She left the plains for the city, chasing knowledge. College taught her history, grit, and how to stand tall. Yet, the cowboy's words clung to her. "Come back when you're older." She'd scribble his silhouette in margins, her heart tugging her back to the dusty trails. The city lights never matched the glow of that sunset meeting. At 22, Lila packed her bag. The plains called her home. She drove through endless highways, her old journal on the seat. The cowboy's face, now faded on paper, was clear in her mind. Would he still be there? Was he real, or a childish dream? The horizon stretched wide, just as she remembered. Her heart pounded. She was no kid now. The wind whispered, urging her toward the unknown. The town hadn't changed much. Same dusty saloon, same creaky signs. Lila's boots echoed on the empty street. She asked old-timers about the giant cowboy. They laughed, calling it a legend. "Ain't no giant out there, girl," said a bartender. But Lila's gut said otherwise. She headed to the plains, where the sky met earth, feeling his presence like a pulse in the ground. Sunset painted the sky crimson. Lila stood where she'd met him years ago. Her breath caught as the ground rumbled. There he was, the giant cowboy. Unchanged, his hat tipped low, eyes crinkling. "Told you to come back when you're older," he said, voice like thunder. Lila, now tall and sure, smiled. "I'm here, ain't I?" Her voice held the strength of years, not defiance. The cowboy knelt, his massive hand resting on a boulder. "You've grown, little one," he said, studying her. Lila met his gaze, no longer the wide-eyed girl. "I've seen the world," she said, "but I came back for you." His laugh was softer now, like a breeze. He pointed to the stars. "World still bigger than you know." Lila nodded, ready to listen, her heart open to his wisdom. They sat by a fire he built, flames dwarfed by his size. He spoke of the plains' secrets, ancient trails, hidden springs. Lila shared her city stories, her voice steady. The cowboy listened, his eyes warm. "You ain't just older," he said. "You're wiser." Lila blushed, feeling seen. The night stretched on, stars bright above, their bond deeper than a childish crush. Days turned to weeks. Lila stayed, learning from the cowboy. He taught her to read the wind, track storms. She taught him city songs humming under the vast sky. They were an odd pair, giant and woman, myth and mortal. Yet they fit. Lila felt home in his shadow, her heart no longer restless. The plains, once empty, now brimmed with purpose. She was where she belonged. One evening, the cowboy grew quiet. His eyes traced the horizon. "I ain't forever, Lila," he said. Her chest tightened. "What are you saying?" she asked. He smiled sadly. "I'm tied to these plains." "You got a bigger path." Lila shook her head, tears welling. "I came back for you." But he touched her shoulder, gentle despite his size. "You came back for you," he said softly. Lila wrestled with his words. She'd built her life around returning, proving herself. Now he was pushing her forward again. The plains felt heavier, the stars colder. "Will I see you again?" she asked. The cowboy's grin was faint. "If the plains call you back." He stood, towering once more, and walked into the dusk. Lila watched, heart aching, knowing she couldn't follow not yet. Back in the city, Lila carried the plains in her soul. She wrote stories of the cowboy, his voice in every line. Her words spread, touching hearts, sparking wonder. People asked if he was real. She'd smile, saying, "Real enough." The journal stayed close, its pages worn but alive. Lila wasn't the girl who left, nor the woman who returned. She was both, shaped by a giant's wisdom. Years later, at 30, Lila felt the plains pull again. She drove back, older, steadier. The town was quieter now, the saloon boarded up. She walked to their spot, the horizon unchanged. No rumble came, no giant appeared. Yet the wind carried his voice. "World's bigger than you know." Lila smiled, tears falling. She wasn't here for him this time, she was here for herself. Lila sat where the fire once burned. The plains stretched endless, holding her past. She wasn't the starry-eyed girl or the determined woman. She was whole, shaped by love, loss, and growth. The cowboy's lesson wasn't about him, it was about her. She whispered thanks to the wind, knowing he'd hear. The stars shone brighter and Lila felt peace, ready for whatever the world held next. The plains stayed with Lila, even in the city. She taught kids to dream big, telling tales of a giant cowboy. Her stories wove hope, grit, and wonder. Parents smiled, thinking it folklore, but kids believed. Lila saw herself in their eyes 16 again, chasing a legend. She'd laugh, remembering his words. The world was big, but she'd faced it, grown, and returned stronger each time. At 40, Lila visited the plains once more. Gray streaked her hair, but her eyes sparkled. The spot was unchanged, same boulder, same vast sky. She sat, journal in hand, sketching the cowboy's face one last time. No rumble came, but she felt him. "I'm older now," she whispered, smiling. The wind answered, soft and warm. Lila closed her eyes, knowing she'd carried him all along. The townsfolk began to whisper of Lila's tale. A girl who met a giant, returned a woman, and found herself. Her stories became legend, like the cowboy himself. Kids searched the plains, hoping to see him. Lila would grin, saying, "He's out there, if you're brave enough." She knew he was more than a man, a symbol of dreams too big to hold, too real to forget. Lila's journal, now a book, sat in libraries. Its pages told of a girl's heart, a giant's wisdom, and a journey of growth. Readers felt the plains' dust, the cowboy's rumble. Lila didn't need to return anymore, she carried the plains everywhere. Her life was proof. You could chase dreams, lose them, and find something better yourself. The cowboy's lesson lived in every step she took. One night, under a city sky, Lila dreamed of the plains. The cowboy stood there, unchanged. "You did good, little one," he said, tipping his hat. She woke, tears on her cheeks, heart full. He wasn't just a memory, he was her courage, her growth. Lila smiled, knowing she'd see him again, not in the plains, but in every bold choice, every step into the unknown. The plains never left Lila's soul. She'd walk city streets, feeling their vastness. Friends asked why she loved that dusty place. She'd shrug, saying, "It's home." They didn't know the cowboy, but they saw his mark in her strength, her stories. Lila wasn't just a woman, she was a bridge between dreams and reality. Built by a giant's words and her own relentless heart. At 50, Lila returned one last time. The plains were quieter, the town a ghost. She stood at their spot, older but unbroken. The wind carried no voice, but she felt him. "I'm old enough now," she laughed, tears falling. The stars answered, bright and eternal. Lila knew she'd been enough all along. The cowboy wasn't her destination. He'd been her guide to herself. Lila's stories outlived her. Kids read her book, dreaming of giants. The plains became a place of pilgrimage where seekers looked for the cowboy. Some swore they heard his laugh in the wind. Lila's name became legend, tied to the giant she loved. Her lesson echoed: grow, return, become. The plains held her truth, vast and unyielding, a map for every dreamer's heart. The cowboy, if he was real, never aged. Some said he was the plains spirit, others a wanderer's dream. But for Lila, he was both man and myth, guide and an goal. Her life proved his words. The world was bigger than she knew, but she was big enough to face it. Every return to the plains was a return to herself. Each step a victory over doubt. Each story a spark for others. In a small museum, Lila's journal lay open. Visitors read of a girl, a giant, and a promise kept. Her sketches, his hat, his grin drew gasps. The plains outside whispered her name. Lila's life wasn't just a story. It was a call to chase what's bigger, to grow, to return. The Cowboys. Shadow lingered, not in the dust, but in every heart that dared to dream beyond the horizon. Kids still roamed the plains, seeking the giant. They'd sit where Lila sat, feeling the earth's pulse. Her book was their guide, her courage their map. The cowboy's words, "Come back when you're older," became a challenge, not a barrier. Lila's legacy wasn't in finding him, but in what she became. The plains held her spirit, vast and free, a beacon for every soul chasing more. The stars over the plains never dimmed. They watched Lila's life unfold, from a girl's awe to a woman's wisdom. Her story wasn't about a giant, it was about growth, about returning to face yourself. The cowboy was her spark, but Lila was the fire. Her words, her life, burned bright, guiding others to find their own giants, their own plains, their own way home. And so, the plains endure, as does Lila's tale. A girl met a giant, grew, and returned not for him, but for her. The cowboy's laugh still rides the wind, his words a call to dreamers. Come back when you're older. Lila did, and in doing so, became timeless. Her story lives in every heart that dares to chase the vast, to grow, to return, and to find themselves under an endless sky.